the pound slid to its lowest level against the dollar since 1985, falling below $1.10. The Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng said the basic rate of income tax will be cut by 1 percentage point. Top rate of income tax for people earning more than $168,000 a year will be scrapped altogether. Harry Fawcett has more.
The government called this a fiscal event as opposed to a budget, which means that it didn't require the kind of independent analysis into what it would do to public finances that it might otherwise have needed. But whatever you call it, this is a massive change to the regular way of doing business when it comes to fiscal and economic policy. The government says that is what's required. Old orthodoxies need to be challenged in order to stimulate growth.
That is how we will deliver higher wages, greater opportunities, and crucially, Mr. Speaker, fund public services now and into the future. That is how we will compete successfully with dynamic economies around the world. And that is how, Mr. Speaker, we will turn this vicious cycle of stagnation into a virtuous cycle of growth.
Just over 2 weeks in office, and this new government is making pledges on spending and taxation and borrowing on a historic scale. The Chancellor said that the already announced assistance for household energy bills would cost in the region of $66 billion. But that is just an estimate, and it's just for the first 6 months. There are many analyses that suggest over time it could go north of $100 billion. As for the new taxation announcements, they're going to cost some $50 billion, and they'll be heavily weighted in favour of the highest earners. The basic rate of income tax will come down by a percentage point. The top rate for those earning more than $168,000 a year, that is to go entirely. The Prime Minister, Liz Truss, says she's not overly worried about redistributing wealth. She's worried about growing the economy. The target, 2.5% a year, up from the current negative 0.1%. The opposition Labour Party says that the plans aren't fair and they won't work.
But to achieve that sort of growth, and for that sort of growth to be sustainable, you need a credible plan. And the truth is that this government does not have one. The Prime Minister and Chancellor are like two desperate gamblers in a casino chasing a losing run.
All of this to be paid for by government borrowing at a time when government borrowing is getting only more expensive. And the Bank of England says it could also stimulate inflationary pressure that it's been trying to fight through interest rate rises. So there's a potential for a tug of war between the central bank and the government. The orthodox economists that the Chancellor has been so publicly calling out are also striking back. One former Bank of England policy chief is saying this could end in tears, this could end in a run on the pound that hasn't been seen since the 1970s. And indeed, the pound has dipped significantly since the Chancellor spoke inside the House of Commons. A government that's been elected by a few tens of thousands of Conservative Party members is making very big changes to the way economic policy works in this country. The stakes are extremely high.